Yeah, Neo Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. Todd Fisher is joining us once again from Boise State. And Cap Ed Credit Union. Todd, good to have you with us once again.
Yes, absolutely. Great to be here.
And obviously, promoting our school, securing our future. We've been doing this program since 2011.
2011.
Yeah. 20 schools a year. We need to catch up.
We've had a couple of holes there, but that's okay.
But, we might be doing summer school the way it's going.
Well, it'd be those individuals that we would articulate and associate with quite well from when we had to go to summer school.
Sure. But when we take a look at the idea of promoting education, Cap Ed does it with this program, but there are so many ways, whether it's the television series on Channel 7 or Channel 2 or the outreach that you have in the community. Obviously, people know about Cap Ed, but why the continued support of education?
Education is, as we talked about earlier in Lou Dobbs' statement, that it's a great equalizer, and we see that education touches everybody. Whether you're a grandparent, you have a child or grandchildren who are in education, those of us that are in a profession, we're always learning, and that is education, whether that is in a professional setting or whether that is provided by an institution such as Boise State or as opportunities where those who are in the retirement community, that they have an opportunity to continue gaining knowledge and understanding of the world that we live in. And
sure.
That's where we want to introduce some of the folks that we have with us here for this last hour.
Indeed, and we're here to talk about the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. And Dana, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Kevin. Glad to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and the institute. We've learned about it before, but I'm so excited because now I'm in the 50-plus crew. So
it's wonderful. We will be happy to see you at some of our classes soon then and become a member. I'm fairly new to Boise State University. I arrived in December following the footsteps of Rosemary Reinhardt and Ellie McKinnon, previous directors of the Osher Institute. And since I've been here, I've been working with the Board of Advisors and the Dean of Extended Studies to take the program to the next level.
Well, and again, what type of learning are we talking about here? Because education, as we've said, yes, it's the equalizer, it's wonderful, but it can be intimidating regardless of your age, right?
Exactly. So lifelong learning is something that I've been passionate about for many, many years. This program in particular reaches out to anybody in the community who is age 50 and older. We try to provide intellectually stimulating lectures, seminars, workshops of a vast array of topics, and to keep our seniors and older aging members of the community engaged in the learning process.
Right, and some of the courses can go from the history of the American West to our great friend Ryan DeLuca and talk about virtual reality and lifting weights or lifting whatever they do, with those machines. So it's quite an eclectic, extensive list.
It's a broad array. We really tap into the faculty at Boise State University to bring some of their research projects in and to report out to our members what they're working on.
Right.
Great interest in those topics.
Well, I can tell you're an educator because of just the words you're using. It's you're raising the intellectual level of the program. So thank you for that.
Well, you should meet all our members in this organization. They actually challenge me daily to keep on my A game as well.
Sure. And what about this young man, Russ?
Russ Cincinnati. Kind of been with this group since its beginning. I mean, this Osher started as the Renaissance Institute in 2000, and I was one of their first presenters way back when, doing a presentation on bioterrorism, if you can believe that.
Wow.
So that's kind of the range. You mentioned some possibilities from history to art to bioterrorism to infectious diseases to cancer, you name it. We've tried to present it to that adult audience that is interested in continuing to learn, and that's what we're all about.
How does that help you continuing to learn?
Continue to learn because basically what's going on out in the real world right now, so much of it is little kids playing with their thumbs and buttons and us old folks having to hear things and read things that are happening without using our thumbs. And I think that's what this group is really all about.
Sure.
Presenting wonderful lecturers who bring it to the level of an audience that, for the most part, are college educated and now retired.
Right, indeed. Dana, anything else you'd like to share?
Well, just that this program is robust and growing. We're nearing our 1,700th member this week. It's grown from just, Russ, when you began,
a handful
of people.
A handful of people. We used to meet at the Flicks. When I did that lecture on bioterrorism, there were maybe 30 people in the room.
And now,
now you fill 215 in the room.
Wow.
That's right. Yeah, so our classes are held over at the Yonke Family Research Center and other locations as we can find space available. And people who are interested in learning more about the program can visit our website or stop by the office and visit with our staff. Any given day, you'll find some of our members in the office as well, so they can get a personal testimonial about how rewarding the program is for them.
Sure. Now, for people listening, a website?
Yes, if they go to the Extended Studies site at Boise State University, or they can just type in Osher at Boise State, and they'll land right on the page.
All right. Well, thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ross,
Thank
anything
you.
else you want to tell us a little about bioterrorism?
Well, the last time I did that presentation for a local group, they said, you just scared the daylights out of us.
Well, we like that. Waking
You
up
like
to being
that.
scared in the
Yeah.
morning, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Kevin in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone number is 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Coming up, we'll hear more from our friends at Boise State. In addition to that, Howard Schultz. Anybody familiar with Howard Schultz? He, the CEO, the former CEO and best-selling author of the Starbucks books, and Starbucks himself had a chance to, join Martha McCallum last night on the Fox News Channel. If you missed the town hall meeting, here are some highlights of Howard Schultz. He wants to be your next president.
Well, I'm going to vote for myself.
Does that mean you're running?
No, are you making a declaration? We have 18 months to decide that. Ladies and gentlemen, what we need to do as Americans is we need to start living our values. We need to start recognizing that we are in this together. Every problem that we have can be solved if we come together as a nation. We are all Americans. I have tremendous respect not only for the person serving, his or her partner and spouse, but the entire family of sacrificing so much. And if I was fortunate enough to be president, I could promise you that I would maintain that level of commitment, concern, and care. Unfortunately, premiums have doubled. So we've got to get the cost down. That's one thing. And then we have to create access. Probably close to 30 million people now are uninsured. So there's a few things. We need more transparency in the system, more competition. We need more choice.
And there you have it, Howard Schultz giving his pitch to why he should be the next president of the United States. I was talking to a friend of mine, a young man by the name of Garrett last night, and he said, how are they voting concerning this issue involving the legislature? What's going on this initiative ballot bill? And many people, and we've talked about this, and then the Medicaid expansion bill and everything else. But let me hit you with this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. To me, I'm thinking the initiative bill, unless you're an activist, does it really impact your world? Does it really impact your livelihood? Now, Senator Groh has said, and I agree with Senator Groh, when he's saying that he doesn't want easy initiatives. Well, I want to paraphrase. In other words, he said, look, we don't want Idaho to become like California and Oregon when we're talking about these massive initiative ballots. And many of you have said to me, joining the conversation at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, that, Kevin Miller, reducing the amount of time that you have to get the initiative on the ballot from 18 months to 6 months isn't fair. Increasing the legislative districts. Now, I know our friend Pete from Mountain Home thinks that this is good because it allows rural districts and cities that aren't named Boise or Idaho Falls or Meridian to get their say in these statewide ballot initiatives. And maybe I'm a little cynical, but to get an initiative on the ballot, I've been here almost 10 years. That doesn't mean I know everything or anything. I'm trying to remember the last time an initiative funded by the grassroots made it onto the ballot without significant money behind it. I think the last time we came close was a bill involving animal cruelty, and I believe one state, this is just a kind of a sidebar, just made it a felony, but you had to get, 40 or 50, maybe 60,000 signatures to get it on the ballot. It was totally grassroots, and they got about 40. They came up short. That was the last time that I've seen some type of grassroots. So we've got this initiative bill, and then we've got one bill doing one thing, one bill doing another. To me, it's all confusing. For me personally, and I think for many people, you want to talk about making a big difference, repeal the grocery tax. Is that asking so much? To repeal the repressive grocery tax. And thanks to your support, there has been one group of individuals, that would be the people that listen to this program at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, that have continued to politely, with respect, but with passion, ask our elected officials to repeal the grocery tax. And you're saying, well, Kevin, we can't afford to do it. Well, then why in the world did they promise that during the last campaign? Every politician, whether they were running for state rep, dog catcher, or governor, said that they were going to do it. And then, lo and behold, when it came about, they decided to pass. I think it deserves a hearing. I think there's still time left in the session. Why not make that happen? Now, we've heard from selected individuals that it goes into a committee and boom, it's done. To me, that is more important than the initiative bill. Now, the media, because they're, look, it's just like the guy working at the mall. He's got to clean the food court. I used to be that guy in the mall. And judging by this show sometimes, I'll probably be returning to that great profession. However, he's got to clean the food court. Just like the media, they've got to cover stories, and the big story happens to be this one about the initiative bill. I just don't see the struggle or the grassroots movement for it. We'll take your calls on that at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, and the idea of the Medicaid expansion. If the people were really against it, as we've said before, why did they not vote to eliminate it like they did term limits? A lot going on here this morning, plus we're at Boise State University, promoting our schools, securing our future. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And here we are, Kevin Miller in the morning, Boise State University. We continue on taking your phone calls about the issues that matter to you. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You know, earlier today, and the big question we were asking before we get back to earlier today, is this issue involving the legislature, your thoughts? I mean, if you had to give them a report card, what would it be? That is number one. Number two, just because we need a laugh and it's Friday, Joe Biden is counterattacking the people that are criticizing him for being a hugger. More on that in a minute. Let's go to, well, a gentleman that always likes to learn. His name is Tea Party Bob, publisher of the Gem State Patriot on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tea Party Bob.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you this fine, lovely morning?
As I say to you off the air, still employed as of right now.
Oh, that's a great thing to hear. You know, I'm absolutely amazed by the budgetary prowess of our legislators and governor. We are going to spend $10 million to renovate the Capitol, to throw the treasurer out, find other offices for a position that's been there for the past 100 years, to make room for representatives who already have offices somewhere else in the Capitol. This was never even been on the master plan. You know, our last governor, whose name I'm trying to forget, along with the legislature, approved for the purchase of the HP complex over a year ago for $135 million, a higher price than even developer Tommy Ahlquist was willing to pay.
Right. And, you know, look, don't blame me. A, I voted for Tommy, number one. Number two, it's interesting when we talk about the HP acquisition, because you and I discussed this, you know, that went from being a revenue generator for the state to that being taken off the books. Because the state's not going to pay tax on that,
more
right?
Money out of us.
Right, but I mean, not only the paying for it and the renovation, but the state is actually going to take that money off the books.
Sure.
Right, there's no taxing coming from that, right.
But that wasn't even including in the renovation costs, taking the asbestos out and all the other things they had to do. You know, now we hear they're going to be buying a building downtown that they sold 2 years ago to the Simplots, and they're going to pay $500,000 more than they paid for it. Now, excuse me, nice profit for the Simplots. Great real estate acumen. I'd love to know who was involved in promoting that real estate transaction. You know, these moves have to make taxpayers wonder who's in charge of long-term planning and how big they intend to grow government. You know, I'll bet we're going to see government bureaucracy of Idaho grow dramatically in the next 10 years as government gets larger and larger, along with the higher taxes for everybody. And if you think we are going to get a grocery tax repeal next year, you must believe in the Easter Bunny and a tooth fairy. Idaho is about to make a turn for the worse as the conservatives that we have in the House and the Senate are dwindling by the day. And with a liberal creep that's on its way, we're going to see more moderates elected and more fiscal conservatives turn to moderates. and eventually liberals. You know, I've been warning about this for the past couple of years, and I believe that the change is getting real close to irreversible, and the consequences are going to be dire for those on limited incomes and low-paying jobs. You know, we're on the road to Portland and Seattle. Nobody seems to see the road signs. And although it might take 10 years to get there, it's going to happen because of the changing demographics and the continued voter apathy that we have been seeing for the past 10 years. The lobbyists have a firm grip on our government, and they intend to hold on to it. You know, it's part of their livelihood. They can't let go now. So good luck on the repeal of the
Well, I
grocery
appreciate
tax.
the note of optimism as always.
Well, look, you know, you have to be realistic in these situations, Kevin. I am an eternal optimist.
Well, someone's staying and someone's leaving.
No, I'm just being smart about this. You know, I see what's happening with taxes down here. You know, when a guy comes
they
in
didn't
and
leave
says
the
these
Alamo,
taxes-
and look what happened to them.
they all died.
Some of us are going down with the ship.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll be there to resuscitate you.
Well, we'll just leave it at that, sir. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day, Kevin. Thank you again.
God bless. Our great friend Tea Party Bob, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work.
This is Channel 7's Eric Everett.
Appreciate that, Larry. If you're around, I'd give you a hug. And speaking of a hug, well, who would not want to hug Larry Gevert? You know, Larry's a huggable guy. A person who's having an issue with hugs is Joe Biden, our former vice president. Could be our first president in his 70s, elder 70s. I think Reagan was 72 maybe, and the current president is 71, 72. But Joe Biden's 77, so 76, if elected, 77, and he likes to hug people. Now, we've all had that relative that's been affectionate. They come up and they give you a hug. I can remember my Aunt Margaret. She goes, "I love your dimples." Now, look, when you're in your 40s or 50s, I think you stop having dimples. But, I mean, she would come up and just grab me as a little kid, but that was who she was, right? And Joe Biden, he's just a hugger kind of guy. Well, apparently not anymore. The number of women leveling accusations against the former vice president continues to rise. Now it's up to 7. That's right. 7 people say they don't want hugs from Joe. One of his new accusers is a young lady by the name of Val Conert-Yount, a former White House intern. Now, put yourself in this position. She's a young intern. It's 2013, and this is what he did. Does this sound offensive to you? Quote, "He put his hand on the back of my head and pressed his forehead to my forehead while he talked to me. I was so shocked that it was hard to focus on what he was saying. I remember he told me I was a pretty girl." Now, again, I really wouldn't like it if a coworker came up to me or even a relative, but that's kind of how Joe Biden is communicated. The new allegations came after Biden posted a tweet in which he promised, and we played this for you yesterday, that he would be a good Joe Biden and, quote, be more mindful about representing and respecting personal space in the future. Now, at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, do you think this scandal is going to prevent Joe Biden from running for president in 2020? Do you suspect that this had been orchestrated for that very purpose? I don't want to answer that question for you. However, here's a young lady. Her name is Heather Bevan, and she likes getting hugs from Joe.
He's warm, he's gracious, he's energetic, and I feel like I got a really special moment with the vice president.
Right, a really special moment. Now, what I don't understand is you don't have men complaining about getting hugged by Joe. Really, I mean, we live in a progressive time, right? Maybe Joe only hugs the young ladies, and wouldn't that be discrimination?
After we spoke, he gave me another great big bear hug and gave me a kiss. I'll never forget it. It's fantastic.
Right, there you have it. He gave her a kiss, and it was fantastic. Now, maybe Bernie Sanders is jealous. Now, here's something for you at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. If you had a choice, and you had to get a hug from one or the other, would it be Joe or Bernie? I'm just saying. Who's more huggable? Who's more likable? Now, I love Bernie Sanders and that disheveled look because I resemble that comment. However, I will tell you, I'd rather get a hug from Joe. More coming up next. Kevin Miller on your home for Fox News on the radio, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 580 AM. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
KIDO Talk Radio, your home for Fox News on the radio. Let's go to Eben Brown. Eben, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us here on KIDO Talk Radio. So, Eben, I apologize. I've lost my notes. They've already updated the run sheet for Monday, so you'll have to let us know what we're talking about today, sir. My apologies.
Well, we could talk about Howard Schultz's appearance on Fox News last night in a town hall meeting. That's one of the things.
That works for me. Well, your thoughts on that, how it was received?
Well, it's interesting. He's going to have a hard push if he really wants to run for president as an independent, which is what he is appearing that he wants to do. He made use of a famous quote from Ronald Reagan last night saying, "I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me." But he's not someone, unlike Reagan, he's not jumping into the Republican Party. He wants to pursue an independent candidacy if he's going to do that. He hasn't officially announced. I see this as a bit of a dangerous or difficult path for him or anyone really, because he has to, while he may be able to, and he presents himself as a moderate, he might be able to get interest among historical Democrats who are not happy with the far left shift of the party. But he also, to be in any way successful, because he is specifically anti-Trump, he would have to convince enough Republicans who may be moderate to really put aside any appreciation for the Trump policies and vote using their emotion that they just perhaps maybe don't like Trump, the personality. Anything's doable, of course, but it might be a difficult argument to make. Otherwise, he ends up in that spoiler territory somewhere that third party or independent candidates usually end up in, a la Ross Perot, Ralph Nader, alike.
Eben Brown joining us, Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio. You go back to just how difficult it is, the level of difficulty if he would choose to run as an independent. Yes, you can have money. Yes, you can have the finances, but the logistics wouldn't they be a nightmare?
Well, I mean, it's not a nightmare, but it is more difficult when you're running outside the party structure, mainly because you're on your own for fundraising. You don't have that big organization of people and knowledge to help you. So it makes fundraising much more difficult, and money is what makes political campaigns go forward. Now, Mr. Schultz is or so he says, a billionaire, and he may have the ability to self-fund, but he has to make the decision on whether or not he wants to self-fund. President Trump, by and large, funded his own campaign, at least his own organization. The party did its own work on the outside of the campaign. But usually most people cannot afford to finance their own campaign out of their own pocket, especially a presidential campaign, because it is an expensive undertaking. It involves a lot of people and moving around and data management and things like that. So he has to decide whether or not he is going to actively fundraise or he's going to pay for it himself. If he is going to actively fundraise, it means he needs to actively fundraise, and he needs to start soon because the clock is ticking in that regard, and he has yet to formally declare anything.
Yes, I heard, I believe it was Martha McCallum trying to say, is that official? And he would not take the bait.
Not yet. He'll make his announcement when he's ready to do so. But I'm from a planning perspective, if you need to get your own money together, I would say I would be advising, let's get going. But he may know things, or he may have a way to self-fund, or at least self-fund initially.
Eben, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
You as well, our great friend Eben Brown. Remember, when you hear Fox News on the radio in the Treasure Valley, you're listening to KIDO Talk Radio on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Dana, welcome back here at Boise State University, promoting our schools, securing our future. We've got a young lady here, moved here from east of the Great River. Would you like to introduce our next guest?
I would. With me today is Marilee Marsh. She's on our Board of Advisory team, and she's also a member of the Osher Institute here at Boise State University.
In fact, one of the reasons that I'm here is, having done research, I found out that this adult lifelong learning even existed.
Well, that's let's talk a little bit about that. So you're from east of the Great River, and then all of a sudden you're doing some research, and this institute, the Osher Institute, brought you here?
In a sense. I'm married to somebody who loves the outdoors, so Idaho works for him. And I happen to love culture, so Boise works for me. And I was looking for a way to get involved as someone who was phasing out my career. Children have lots of opportunities. People who work have lots of opportunities. For those of us whose minds still work and our energy is still up, we need to find a place where we can find fulfillment. Osher does that.
Well, can you share with us some of the classes, some of the lectures that have made an impact on you?
A lot of writing classes, which tend to be smaller, more workshop areas. Also areas that I may know nothing about. For example, last week there was one on Confucianism. I knew nothing about it before walking into the class. So it takes ideas that we might not have explored because we were in a certain track as we were growing up, and gives us a chance to learn more and interact more. And that's just one of the many benefits of Osher.
And what would you say, this is the magic of radio, is you have people, well, we're not streaming right now, there's no app right now, we're working on that, and we don't negotiate with terrorists. However, what would you say to someone right now, in their car, at home, listening, you're speaking directly to them about maybe giving this a shot? Why would it help them?
Kevin, I started out my career in radio, so I totally understand the power of radio and appreciate it. I will talk to you who may be driving right now. If you're looking for a community of lifelong learners who are open to diversity and open to ideas and open to interaction, and you can learn something new, Osher is the place for you.
Now, I thought I was well-traveled. Do you want to share with us how many places you lived? For entertainment purposes only.
For entertainment purposes only. I'm an Air Force brat, so I've lived in 9 different states, and I can state without question, Boise is my favorite place to be.
Boy, that's great. Anything else? We really needed you at 6 in the morning.
I'm a morning person, Kevin. That could be negotiated.
Well, thank you. Dana, anything else you'd like to share?
I would just add to hearing something from both Marilee and Russ in the earlier hour, 2 members of the Osher Institute. Our program is unique in that it is also membership-driven. So the members get to weigh in on what topics are planned for presentations. And we've got some great committees formed of those members, and they give me those topics that they'd like to see, and then we go look for presenters who can come in and speak to those. And I think that's what keeps it so rich and rewarding, so that we can really give the members what they're looking for in the Osher Institute.
Sure. For people just moving here, what would you say?
Get involved, whatever that means to you. If it means a hike on the Greenbelt, or it means getting involved in the local politics, or it means turning on your radio dial to hear what others in the community are doing. Just get involved.
You've lived in so many places.
I have.
Why? How is this different?
Boise reminds me a little bit of living on a military base in that it's very friendly and very accessible, and you can plug into all the different levels. That's different from when I lived in other places.
All right, fair enough. Todd Christensen, that's a tough act to follow.
That's a tough one to follow, but I would agree with the comments that we've had as it relates to the openness of our community. We get out of our community what we put into it. And in this case, the Boise community, the Idaho community, when you engage and you participate in it, it gives you a rich, fulfilling life. My wife and I have had the opportunity in our family to travel around the world, to be able to live in a variety of places, and we've intentionally boomeranged back to the Boise area and back to the state of Idaho for the richness that we have as a state, for the opportunities that are available for individuals of all age. And we've talked this morning as it relates to K-12. We've talked about the passport to education, and this last hour we've been talking about how those that are in the retirement community, those that are in our senior community, have an opportunity to engage. And I appreciate the statement of engage, get involved, and have an opportunity to have a fulfilling life of lifelong learning.
We appreciate that. Todd, I want you to stand by because we're going to talk a little bit about the economy. We haven't done that in a while.
Okay.
And we'll take some phone calls. We'll continue on. Thank you all. Much more coming up. Don't forget Glenn Beck today at 9. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up, more of your phone calls. Todd Christensen joining us from CapEd Credit Union. Todd, we take a look at the economy. It's been a while since we've had a report. What are you seeing on the ground as far as small business loans, home loans? We still see lots of building going on.
We continue to see both here in the Treasure Valley as well as the Magic Valley area, and for that matter across the entire state of Idaho, that our economy continues to advance. We continue to see a robustness in small businesses as well as larger businesses. You know, we're talking off air a little bit about the developments of BVA and the things that they're doing here in the area. And that's just an indication of what's continuing to happen here in Idaho, and especially the Treasure Valley. We continue to see good starts in home starts, especially in the Nampa, Caldwell, and Kuna communities. We continue to see that number increase year over year. We're a benefactor of that as a financial institution. We provide mortgage loans, we provide small business loans, and we're having a very successful year in both those regards.
Yeah, and you know, you take a look at the growth of CapEd, Twin Falls. We have folks in Twin Falls listening throughout the area, just trying to keep up with the demand. It's
we're a benefactor of a great state. We're a benefactor of a great community and the economy that's helping to move that forward. Do we see something that might be a correction that we hear out there as a potential adjustment as we look at the business cycle or the cyclical nature of, you know, the advancement of an economy, a recession of economy? I think there is. When that takes place, who knows? If we had the definitive answer on that, I don't think either one of us would be sitting here if we had that crystal ball. But what we would encourage individuals is, while it's good now, make sure that you're taking the steps that you're in a good place when it becomes a difficult time. One of the things that we've launched here in the last couple of weeks is allowing our members to be able to see their FICO credit score right on our mobile app. So when they log into e-banking, either online over the desktop or on the app, they're actually able to see their credit score, and that's updated on a quarterly basis. And for us, that's a service that we want to provide to our members. So as they look at that score, that three-digit score is a pretty important element that determines what your interest rates are, determines your risk of elements as we look at it as a financial institution. So it's one of the things that we wanted to provide to our members.
Todd, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Great opportunity to talk about lifelong learning today.
Always love the schools and love CapEd, so thank you.
We appreciate it. We appreciate KIDO. We appreciate what you do and the opportunity to share the great things that are taking place in our education community and beyond.
Have a good one, brother.
Have a great weekend.
Yes, sir. Let's go to the phones. Tess joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tess. All right. We appreciate that. Is Dave ready? Okay. Let's go to him at KIDO Talk Radio.
Yeah,
good morning, sir. Yep, go ahead.
Well, Kevin, I think the state legislature should get a D. They've been really pretty out of it. Every one of them, Democrats and Republicans, they all said that we want to repeal a sales tax on food, and they've not done a thing about it. Now, the ones that have been more adamant about it, they have not taken it to the floor of the Senate, to the full Senate and the full House, and been rejected there, because, when the governor says we're going to put this off for a year, then everybody's supposed to, wimp out and not do anything about it, but they need to take it.
Well, let's go back to the repeal of the grocery tax. When you take a look at And you remember, heck, you're a candidate all the time. When people were running for office,
Yeah.
Why in the world did they promise it and not even give it a hearing?
Well, because the governor said we're going to put this off. But they should fight back, and they should say, no, listen, we're going to bring it up in the committee, and then if the committee chairman won't listen to them, then they need to go right out on the floor and bring it up and have the Speaker of the House or the pro temp Senate guy shut them down and say we're not going to talk about it. And then they go to the media like you and complain about it, but they didn't do any of that.
Well, that's an interesting point. And when, the governor is an advisory position when it comes to what the legislature does. I mean, let's face it, the legislature, they're the ones that set the agenda. Now, the governor can suggest things, but it is the legislature. I mean, we see this in Congress where they go, Mr. Trump, you're not the boss of us. And, and we've seen it here, what the governor wants and stuff. That's his prerogative. But the legislature say, no, we want to put this up for a vote.
Yeah, I know, but they call each other good lady and good man, but they are pretty wimpy. They should say wimpy lady and wimpy man because that's what's happening. But anyway, then I also grade them down on there was a lot of bills presented to committee chairmen, like vaccination notification, life at fertilization, and add the words. None of those could get out of the chairman's desks. And whether you like them or not, it's wrong for a chairman to play God and say, I'm the chief legislator here and this is not going to be heard this session. But I know of 3 of them, and there's probably more of them. And,
well, let's go to the Medicaid expansion issue as well.
Yeah.
If they were truly against it, why didn't they just vote it down? Now, again, that's not the right thing. I think there should be term limits. But if they were truly against it, why didn't they just do what they did to term limits?
Well, when they get to the final vote, there's going to be a bunch of them that have been voting for modification of it in case it does pass. They're going to vote against it. And we don't even know if it's going to pass. There's a lot of, outside of the
well, they don't get to leave. They don't get to leave if they don't get to pass. By the way, as we do review and commentary of the legislative session with our analyst pro-life here on KIDO Talk Radio, this issue involving this initiative bill, I mean, if you don't have big money, it doesn't matter.
Well,
so what's the big fuss?
Well, the big fuss is that generally I think that the population in general, the general voters, are not as smart as the legislators. And so they can be buffaloed, and, advertising works. And so, if you got a bunch of money, you can push something through on a voter initiative, a voter referendum, and then the legislature has to deal with it. And I think they ought to just do it.
Final thought here, Pro-Life.
Yeah.
Whom do you believe? Senator Groh says, look, we don't want this to be California, Oregon, or the people that's saying it's unfair because it takes the power out of the grassroots folks?
Well, Senator Groh is more, he's better, but what he should really say is let's just do away with the constitutional part having to do with voter initiative. Let's just get rid of it. That's what he should do. So, nobody's saying that because that's supposedly offensive to the voters. Well, the voters need to be...
You're right. You're all about offending the voters. Pro-Life, God bless you. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you.
We'll see you. By the way, Kevin Miller, cash code word. Joel, thank you for reminding me of that. Gamble. Remember, listen at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and 3 p.m. for your chance to win up to $5,000 on KIDO Talk Radio. Traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave. And Larry, we appreciate you. Now, there are so many scams going on. And before we get to Glenn Beck, do we have time for this? Yeah, I think we do. Before we get to Glenn Beck, we want to let you know of a scam going on Facebook. And you might hear the Better Business Bureau talking about people calling your home and saying, hey, Billy's been arrested, Billy's been this, blah, 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 blah. You need to send gift cards. Chances are, if someone's asking you for gift cards to Buffalo Wild Wings, it's a scam. As far as I know, Buffalo Wild Wings, Big Al's, they don't accept, the Department of Corrections, the Ada County Sheriffs, Canyon County Sheriffs, They don't accept gift cards to get people out of jail or on bail. Anyway, let's see if we have time for this. Well, we don't. Time has flown. I want to thank everybody. Ray Amaya, great job as always. Jimmy, Joel, everyone here at Boise State, everyone at CapEd, Team Mazda Subaru. God bless. Keep the faith. Glenn Beck's next. KIDO Talk Radio.